What's going on, guys? It's your boy Paperback Dan, and today I am very excited because there is a Kickstarter campaign that is currently active that I am super stoked for. I'm talking about Marcus Walker Kingslayer Protocol. This book is brought to us by first-time creator Chris Yates. And I'll admit, I didn't know very much about this book going into it, but I kept seeing all this promotional work for it, and I thought it looked really cool. And Chris and I just kind of ended up connecting as a result of that. He liked the fact that I was complimenting what he was posting, so he reached out and asked about doing an interview, and here we are. So without further ado, here to talk about Marcus Walker Kingslayer Protocol, creator Chris Yates. So tell me a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself. We've briefly messaged on Instagram, but let me know who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Chris Yates. I'm a brand new comic book writer. For the past, let's say, 7 to 8 years, I was in entertainment, working in the comic book IP media rights space. So for the first, I think, 3 years of that, I was with the United Talent Agency in Beverly Hills, and then 2 years after that, I was at the Walt Disney Corporation. And then the last 2 years, I've been kind of working in small publishers, production houses, kind of like a creative freelancer in terms of working with comic books and marketing and just kind of the geek culture space. So I'm kind of here now, and doing the rounds, as you would say it, promoting my book that's coming out. So yeah, that's kind of me in a very quick nutshell of where I've been and what I've done.
That sounds, I feel like you've probably been saying that a lot, so you kind of have it down pat a little bit. But
Yeah, the funny thing is so just to give you like a peek behind the curtain, when we were at Disney, we had to meet with a lot of people, either internally, externally, because we kind of had to be, so the creative acquisitions team was the team I was on, and I was the non-traditional IP person. And so basically we all kind of had little roles within our team, and we never practiced it. It was the funniest thing because there was 5 of us and we each had a select thing. Like our boss, she ran the department, and then the other women in the group would be like, oh, I do books or I do podcasts. And I'm like, I'm the nerd. Like I kind of had this like rigmarole of like, this is what I do. I do everything that they don't want to do it. So I was like, I very much had kind of a definitely like a way of saying it, and because you have to express who you are in a very short time. So after a while, it was almost like a song and dance routine of like, oh, it's their turn. Now I'm gonna flip it to their turn. And so now I've kind of had that instilled me. So now it's like I kind of know how to pitch my story depending on how short or long it needs to be. So
that's fair. That's good though. I feel like, especially as you begin to like grow in this space, like you said, you're kind of brand new to it. As you begin to grow in this space, like I feel like that's something that is a very necessary skill. If you ever start like tabling at conventions or doing anything like that, or try to even pitch your book to publishers and things of that nature, like that, I feel like that's something, in my experience, meeting other people and talking about it and stuff, like that's something you absolutely need to have.
Oh,
So
100%. It's the marketing, it's the story behind the story. Like, why should people care about, your Kickstarter? And mine is Marcus Walker Kingslayer Protocol. And it's basically like, make me care about you in a genuine, authentic way. So then it doesn't feel schmaltzy or salesy or, ick to a certain degree. And you can just be honest. And so I try to, express and share my story because, I've had a journey, like a lot of people. I've just found a way to express it where it's like, hey, I did track and field for, oh my God, almost 10 years of my life. Like I was a scholarship athlete.
wow.
I went to university. I got a master's degree. I lived abroad. So it's like, I found myself in a very fortunate position where I kind of have to give everyone a little bit of, it's like, oh, I traveled, lived in Australia. I worked at
Yeah.
Disney. So it's kind of those things of like, how much do you want to know? And like, what's the most important kind of things? Because people like, you're just a brand new creator. How did all this happen? And then it's like, okay, well, I was at Disney, then I met these people and I kind of found myself because the one thing was my kind of like claim to fame, right? When I was at UTA or even before then. So I was interning at Beau Flynn's production studio, who is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock's producing partner.
Oh,
And
okay.
at the time he was like, hey, we're doing Black Adam. I'm like, I know. Can I read the script? They're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, fair. But in hindsight, I'm like, probably should have. But I learned how basically how production companies work at a real level. And then when my internship was up, I'm like, hey, I want to do comic book movies. And they're like, yeah, you should go to an agency. I'm like, cool. Can you get me an in? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, besides learning how to take coffee and get lunch, like this was
Right.
fun. Like, so basically I reached out, I cold emailed the UTA recruiter and I was like, hey, I'm 29. I have a marketing degree, or I have a master's degree in coaching, athletic administration. I kind of have an idea about marketing, comic book movies. Do you have a spot? And they're like, can you start on Monday? And so the moment I got in, I kind of learned like, who's the who's who of comics. And when I found my opportunity to like kind of put myself in front of people, I'm like, I think James Tynion the fourth is going to be the next big thing. And they're like, great, you figure it out, kid. Like, we don't know what that means. And so, I was able to kind of find my way to James in terms of like, I went through an agent and then I met Boom Studios and that was Stephen Christie, and Stephen Christie was best friends with James Tynion. And I was like, James, I think you're going to be like the Stephen King of comic books. How do we make this work? And then luckily we were able to figure it out. And then that kind of just blew open the doors when we were able to, option the Department of Truth. And, that's his story to tell. But, yeah, that's just what kind of let me into this whole world of being able to be so connected for a first time creator, because everyone's like, so how did you have Steve Maida and Sean Murphy and it's like, well, if I was going to make one comic book and this was like my one shot, like if I'm going all in one, like the first time out the gate, I'm using every reserve favor. I'm calling everybody I know to be like,
Oh,
hey,
absolutely.
remember when you said you would be like, give me a helping hand, or you would, do me a solid? I'm calling you out right now to help me. And so luckily, everyone's been very kind and they've been, supportive, and yeah, so here we are. And I'm talking way too much.
Oh no, that's cool. Honestly, I was just fascinated the way you kept going with that. I was like, damn, okay. And I mean,
Oh,
I feel like I mean, Stephen King is a hell of a comparison, but like I feel like you might be on to something with JT4 because like Exquisite Corpses just got optioned and they're expanding that universe, and there's something else that they're making a animated show out of, is The
World Street
Woods.
Woods. Yep.
Yeah, like so I feel like you you were ahead of the curve there. Like you were really on to something with that.
I think it was when I found him when he was doing his New 52 Batman run with Scott Snyder. I think it was his like 8-page backup story of Alfred. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like, Scott Snyder's the man. Like, this is New 52. He still is, obviously, with Absolute. But
Yes.
I'm like, who's this James Tynion guy that keeps getting backups? And then I kind of just followed his career. And then I was just like, I saw him at a WonderCon. I want to say like in 2015 or 16, and he had a line, but nowhere near the line he had now. And I was like, I don't know how, I don't know when or how it's going to come about, but I think I'm going to work with that guy. Like I almost did like a Babe Ruth, like calling your shot type of a thing, where it's
Yeah.
like, I think I'm going to work with him. I just don't know how, because not to derail and go complete tangent, but I'm a big believer in like manifesting. I know some people have their
Mhm.
thoughts against that. They think it's too woo woo, but it's like, if you kind of have like at least a North Star or something to kind of guide you, and you just kind of work your way towards it as best you can. And, if you can kind of be open-minded enough to what could be turns or pitfalls or, even U-turns even. So I was just like, I'm going to work with this person. And then, fast forward, I don't even know, like 3, 4, 5 years or something, whatever it was. And then I was able to sign James, and he was able to use that opportunity and become the creator he always thought he was going to be. So
That's wow. Damn, that's crazy.
yeah.
So, what are you reading right now? Or if you're not reading anything currently, because I understand that making a book can be expensive and time consuming. So, if you're not reading anything right now, what's the last thing
No,
you read?
no. So the funny thing is that I am reading something, but the book I'm reading is called Hyde Street by Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis.
Okay.
I love it. It's basically, I'm taking it as like their Twilight Zone like their version of the Twilight Zone, because
Yeah, yeah.
there's this, I don't know if you know it, but it's basically like this street where all these kind of hellish, demonic, ghoulish spirits and killers or murderers and kind of all the creepy things that bump in the middle of the night type of a vibe. And I just absolutely love it. But the frustrating part as a reader, as I'm sure you know, is it's been delayed since September, and I'm like, This
Oh
is a
wow.
horror book. How has it been like, how did you miss Halloween? Like, first off, it's like, that's just
Honestly,
like, that is like the biggest no-no of a horror book of all, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't miss the holiday.
yeah.
And
No.
so then I've been waiting, and so I think it's actually coming out next week. So I'm super excited about that. I was reading Jason Aaron's TMNT, and then he jumped off of that. I haven't started the newest version, but I'm
Mhm.
hearing good things. And then I'm not really reading too much Marvel, unfortunately. It hasn't really caught my attention. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's getting, I don't want to say stale, but it's just, it feels like it needs a shot in the arm, so to speak. Because
Yeah.
I mean, if like the Ultimate Universe is great, but it just didn't connect with me. But because I saw the Absolute line just like everybody else, and I was like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is exactly what I want to read, and I'm hoping for an Absolute Aquaman because that's my guy. That's how I met, or not met, learned about Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis, because of their
Um,
Aquaman run, which is
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
still to this day, like for me personally, like probably my favorite DC omnibus outside of James Tynion's Batman, Detective Comics Batman run.
Mm,
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm reading right now. And I think if there's anything in the indie space that's got me excited, I mean, Rick Remender's awesome. Jason Aaron's awesome. I'm super excited about what Sean Murphy's cooking. Sean Murphy, yeah, what he's cooking up with his new book. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm reading at the moment. But yes, my head has kind of been down with this whole like promotional
yeah.
mindset I'm in.
So you kind of maybe just answered my question with you saying Aquaman is your favorite omnibus, or maybe second. What would you say is your favorite comic like of all time?
Ooh, that is that is one I struggle with every day, I feel. I think I can break it up into this way. I think TMNT is my favorite piece of comic book IP, but my favorite indie or creator-owned comic outside of TMNT, because that's now its own thing.
Yeah.
I think it's tied between Lord Baltimore by Mike Mignola or Tokyo Ghost by Remender and Murphy.
Okay.
I think those books always live on my shelf. I mean, but then I think about Bitterroot, which was amazing. Um, and then if I'm gonna have to go Marvel, I think Jason Aaron's Thor run was just absolutely fantastic. I think it just set the bar for storytelling. I mean, I think he was on it for like 7 years, which is like the biggest run in modern comics, I guess, if you will. And then if I had to go for DC, it was definitely Jeff Johns Aquaman. I think those are my big two type characters. So yeah, I think that's the best way I can answer it.
Okay. I mean, oh, they're all great picks. I haven't read every single one, but I mean, the ones that I haven't are very popular and for good reason, I would imagine.
What about you?
So
What are yours?
ooh, okay. So mine, my absolute favorite, like all time, I always tell everyone it's Invincible by Robert Kirkman.
Hmm.
It just, I don't know, it hit me at the right time, and it just, I don't know, wowed me, and I haven't let it go. Like I haven't felt the same way about a comic book since. So it just, like I said, it got me at the right time, I guess.
I mean,
Um,
you have a glorious collection behind you. I'm quite envious. I mean, how long has that taken you to collect and gather?
Oh man, and this isn't even all of it. I've got some stuff in boxes laying around here also, but I've been collecting uh for what is this 2026? So 14 years roughly.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I Free Comic Book Day was my gateway. My LCS that I still go to this day was like adjacent from the movie theater. So after Avengers came out, me and my friends walked over to the shop, and we were just talking whatever, and the guys behind the counter was like, well, hey, tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day, and we'll have 20% off, trades and this and that and the other thing. I had no idea what the hell a trade was. I was just like, oh,
Right.
okay, like that's
Fresh.
cool. Yeah, but like I had just recently started my first job, so like I had my own money, and I was like, all right, like I'll come check it out, and then I bought like Planet Hulk and some X-Force books, and the rest kind of is just history.
Dope. That's awesome. I mean, it worked, right? Free Comic Book Day worked on you.
It sure did. Yep. Yep. And I am very thankful for it. And I always try to like give him a little shout whenever it comes around. I don't know if it's still going to be a thing now with the whole like diamond fiasco, but
Yeah, I think it's like it's not Free Comic Book Day. It's like they reworded it because I think of
mhm,
trademarks or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. But either way, yeah, free comic book day got me. Like I was
Okay.
always interested. It just was a matter of me having my own money, and that's just another one of those things where it hit me at the right time, and I haven't looked back. So,
Sick. Okay, so that's your favorite indie. What's your favorite big two?
ooh, that is a great question. I've never given it that much thought. I've always just been like, oh, comics in general, like Invincible's the one, but big two. That's yeah. Who's doing the interview here? I'm just, um, oh man, I. Maybe I'm saying this because it's fresh in my head after just thinking about it, but maybe Planet Hulk.
Okay.
Like it is like the first trade that I really read, but at the same time, like it's just a really cool Hulk story. Like I love
Yeah.
how like disconnected it is from everything else, and Hulk's just being Hulk, and he's a badass, and
Yeah.
it just works. Damn, I'm gonna have to think about that a little harder though for in the future. That's a good. Although I
Didn't
do
mean
for
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, it's fine. I don't mind. But for DC though, I am a big fan of Jeff Johns' Aquaman run. That is probably one of my
Hell yeah.
favorites on that side.
It's
Um,
just fun, classic, like Silver Age brought into the modern age. Like, you know what I mean? He made Aquaman cool. Like, it's just
yeah,
it speaks
exactly.
to me on such a level.
Yeah, no, I Aquaman. It making Aquaman cool is like what made me love it. Because at first I was like, I wasn't one of those people that got in on the whole like Aquaman's a joke character, or whatever. It wasn't something I thought about, but I also
Right.
didn't support it or endorse it or whatever. I was just like, okay. And like I saw some things about Aquaman, I was like, well, he's kind of cool. And like one of my friends was like trying to tell me, he's like, no, Aquaman's dope. And I'm like, okay. And then I read the Jeff Johns one. I'm like, yeah, Aquaman is pretty cool. Like,
Yeah. And then Dad, when I think after the Jeff Johns run, it was still good. You know, it had like I think Colin Bunn afterwards, but then I think it was Dan Abnett, and then when he did kind of the Rebirth version,
mhm,
just I'd almost say it's just as good. Like it depends because the art's not. I mean, Ivan Reis's art is like
yeah,
out of this world. But Dan's whole arc and run is almost just as good. I just wish sometimes the art was more consistent because he has a killer lineup of artists. But I'm a reader where it's like I kind of want the art to be consistent, even if it's
yeah.
like still good. It's just like I kind of want that full experience the entire time if I can. But
hmm
you know,
I get it.
for
Yeah, no,
first world problems.
oh, for sure. But I've heard the same thing about Dan Abnett's run. I haven't read it myself. I fell off. I think it was Jeff Parker when he was writing the Aquaman
Yes.
and the others. Not a knock on that book. That's where I unintentionally took a break and never went back.
Yeah.
But I've heard good things about Abnett's run too, and I've been wanting to meet it because I read it. I've heard the same. I've heard the same thing that you just said about people saying it's like just as good or almost as good as Jeff Johns' run. So I'm like, well, I mean, I have to check that out. Then, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Highly recommend.
so we got my story a little bit out of this somehow. What got you into comics? Like what started this whole ride to you eventually making your own?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the whole derivatives of the 90s and IP. So what I mean by that is Batman Returns, TMNT, the movie, um, Power Rangers. I was very much like a 90s, like I'm a hard 90s kid. Like there's no getting around it. Like all of that is still those things I love. And that's what inspired my personality, I guess you would say. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then back in the day, like, when comic book movies weren't as popular and they were like so few and far between, I just realized I want to do that. Like, I want to do something with that because I just think it's the coolest thing on earth to be like this something that was on paper then becomes this thing. Because my uncle introduced me to, Batman. He's like, oh, you like the movie? You should read the comic. I'm like, what the hell's a comic? And then he showed it to me. And then that kind of just, blew my mind. And I'm like, this is just like the movie, but better.
Yeah.
This is actually way cooler. So I think that's kind of what imprinted me. And so I just loved it and I couldn't shake it. And then I got to a point where I was doing another job. Like I said, I got my master's in coaching, athletic administration. I was on the path to becoming a university coach. And then I was very much like, you know what? This is going to be a long road. Like, this is going to be a hard gig and life if I want to make this my career, because I can't control the kids. You can't control investors. You can't control a whole bunch of things. So it's like, I'd rather just kind of, take the reins, if you will, and just do this. And then I kind of got my family's blessing because I was still young at the time, and they were just like, go do it. And so it's just always been a part of my life. And now it's just like, I'm using all the knowledge I've gained and kind of all the tips and tricks and just trying to put it together and, put it in a package. So where it's like, again, because my whole mindset was when I was at Disney, I got laid off because Bob Iger's like, hey, we're laying off 7,000 people and we're starting with your department. I was like, crap, that sucks. And so I was like, I just worked for one of the biggest agencies. I just worked for one of the biggest production companies. Like, what do I want to do with my life? And the thing I always say is I figured I want to do two things. I want to marry my girlfriend, which I did, and then make a comic book, which is now the comic book I am, here to talk about and promote, but we don't have to get into it just yet. But that's kind of how it all just, weaved its way into my story from being a kid to who I am today. So.
Okay. So I know you're new, like when this has been established at this point, but if you were able to write whatever character you want, what character or team, if you want, what would that be? What would be the IP that you would want to write?
Well, not to keep harping on it, but if I ever got DC, I would love to do something with Aquaman. Truthfully, like that is my guy, because I have an idea that could be super cool, but again, don't know if it'll ever happen. If I went to Marvel, I'd actually probably want to write Jane Foster because she's my favorite, or Agent Venom, because Agent Venom Flash Thompson specifically, because I love the fact that he is a handy capable like war veteran, and I think that's so cool that he's able to kind of overcome those things. And then obviously the indie stuff. I mean, I would love to potentially work in the Mike Mignola verse if that ever came up, but I mean, Mike is, very close to the chest with those things from what I hear. And then, of course, the Turtles, like who wouldn't want to be with the Turtles? Like I'm a Donnie and Leo guy. Like those are my two. So
Okay.
what about
I'm
you?
also a Leo guy, so I get some flack for it every so often because I don't know
Because he's a
when it
Boy
started to
Scout.
be. Yeah, I don't know when it started to be cool to hate on Leonardo because like when I was growing up, I feel like most people liked him. Like everyone thought he was cool. Like he was the leader. Blue's just a cool color. Like what?
Yeah.
And now like people over the last like 5 or 6 years have come out of the woodwork like, oh, Leonardo sucks. He's a Boy Scout. He's boring. He's this and that. I'm like, dude, what? Are we talking about the same turtle? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, everyone's like, I love Raph because he's always angry, and I feel angry, and I'm like, you are just a prepubescent young man who doesn't know what to do with himself. And then
like,
it's like Mikey is like the fun party guy, so of course,
right, and like, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I love all the turtles, but
right?
like, I also like there was a time where I would go back and forth between who was my favorite between Raph and Leo because like I get the anger thing, but like I also get the like trying to be collected and reasonable and responsible and whatever. Like I would go back and forth, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people hate on Leonardo. It's crazy.
And plus, I think the newest version, from Mutant Mayhem, didn't do him any favors. I think they really leaned
Yeah.
into that whole like Boy Scout trope, and especially with him kind of like being goo goo eyes over April. I was just like, okay, this is a take.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I forgot about that until you just pointed out. I'm like, damn, they kind of did, I guess, make him a little bit more lame than normal. But whatever. We have plenty of other
Yeah,
TMNT media to enjoy where Leo's actually awesome.
absolutely.
So Marcus Walker, Kingslayer Protocol.
Yes.
What I mean, just give us a brief synopsis, I guess, if you will. What are we
Yeah.
expecting with this book
So
here?
I'll kind of give you like the actual description just because it's the easiest thing, and then I can kind of break it down. So The description goes, as the war rages on between kaijus and Kingslayer mechs in New Honolulu City, Marcus Walker is forced into hiding under the watchful eye of his authoritative family, determined to protect him. This unexpected turn of events forces Marcus to confront the relentless dangers of his choices head on as the sinister forces dredge up old secrets from his bloodline's past and threaten his future. That's the very like salesy pitch. Like that is exactly what the blurb is. I'm read it word for word.
I was just about to ask you, like, zero shade either way, but I was like, did you memorize that or did you read that? Because
I have it. I have it. So on my Windows screen, I have us, and then I have the Kickstarter up, so I don't forget.
That's fair.
Because I mean,
fair.
I want to be able to recall things if I forget. Because at the end of the day, like
Mhm.
I want to be just as professional as I possibly can be. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna read it so I don't mess it up. But
Well, yeah. But you don't want to like and be like, well, okay,
of
this
course.
thing and that. So like, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Because then I can just break it down and be more like honest of like basically kind of how this story goes is as I said, I worked for Disney. I reviewed I think it was around 600 or 700 pieces of IP in terms of trying to potentially bring them into Disney for our writers, showrunners, producers, just trying to see if we can flip it to one of our streamers. And during that time, I quickly realized I was kind of missing something. Like there was like when I was reading these things, I'm like, man, I'm missing something. And I kind of told that to my boss, and she was, much more brilliant than me. And she's like, you should write it down. Like, you should either think of it as, maybe it's a fun exercise, or, you just write it down and you forget about it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wrote it down. And then when the Bob Iger thing happened, I was like, I think this is the book I want to make. And then I started, noodling it down. And I basically thought, I'm like, okay, I want to make a book that takes this hard on your sleeve Jason Aaron style of writing, but I want it to look like like the hard lines of Sean Murphy, but I also want it to look like a Saturday morning cartoon genre bashed into an anime from the 90s that is about two brothers, and these two brothers are set in a world with mechs and kaijus. Like, that'll never happen because that's way too specific. And then I was like, I think I'm gonna write that. And so honestly, that was the whole premise and thing. So I was like, as they say, write what you know, right? And this is my
Mhm.
first time writing. So I'm like, well, all my favorite books are the ones where I feel like the writer is almost putting in like a diary or like a journal entry using characters, and you can kind of see the message underneath the action. And I was very much like, okay, how do I make a different kind of mech slash kaiju story? Because as we know, with the Gundams, the Evangelions, the Pacific Rims, like usually the main character is the pilot of the story, and I didn't want to do that. So what our swing, if you will, is Marcus is not the pilot of the story. He's the little brother of the pilot, and he may not even be. He doesn't even feel like he's the main character. Like he is the main character, but he doesn't feel like he's the hero. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't always feel like the hero of my own story because
Mhm.
I like, dude, this sucks. Like I got to do this thing or blah, blah, blah. Like, you just don't feel like you're progressing in a way you would want. Like you don't have main character syndrome, I guess is what they call it now. And
Right.
so I basically wanted it to be about how these two brothers kind of are, not at each other's throats, but, how could a family that is injected into, this kind of high level, this high stress level world where their family is a part of this mech community, but also, there's kaijus. Like, what would a world look like where kaijus are daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly type occurrences? How do people have a normal life? And so me and my partner Simone Ragazzoni, we tried to come up with a story that kind of did all those things as best we could. So
Nice. Okay. So I wanted to ask you actually also, because off camera we were talking about how your co-creator does not speak English. How did you
yeah,
even come across them? Like, where did that happen?
IG straight. That was the most honest answer because I was looking up people. I think it's a DeviantArt, ArtStation. I was doing all the things looking for people, and then I came across his art, and his action was insane. Like his Instagram is just full of riches of anime characters and superheroes, and I'm like, I think this is the guy. And so
Yeah.
I just emailed him, and like I think I told you earlier, his manager's like, hey, he doesn't speak English. I'm happy to facilitate a conversation between us. And then I pitched him this idea and I was like, hey, I would love to do this with you and I would love to create it with you and, own it with you. Would you be interested? And he's like, sure. And so basically for the past 3 years, this story has been made through a series of, Google and DeepL translations between English and Italian. And the funniest thing, because I've been lucky enough to promote this and people are asking me like, how does that happen? Like, what's the communication like? Do you guys fight? Do you butt heads? And I've quickly realized that we haven't really argued because we have to be patient with each other and we have to explain things in certain detail. And when we started first conceptualizing and doing, the first pages, I quickly realized I did not need to get in his way. I gave him 2 sentences and he made it look like I had written a symphony. You know what I mean? Like
Awesome.
I gave him like the smallest description of like, this is what I'm thinking. And he's just like, oh. And I'm like, oh, like I don't need to micromanage you. I don't like to micromanage to begin with, but I'm like, I can be super hands off when it comes to him creating. I think maybe one time we like butted heads, and that wasn't even like, we were just like, well, I mean this, like, what do you mean? And it was just kind of like this, and this. And then his manager got in and he was just like, oh, he means it like this. And I was like, oh, this is just a translation thing. So truthfully, it's been one of those kind of blessed relationships. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but it's just like very fortunate, I should say, because it's been a rather, between him and I, it's been honestly one of the healthiest relationships I've ever had.
I mean,
So
hey,
let alone creative partnerships.
yeah, no, well, that's awesome. That's that's a good relationship to have. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to business, when it's like peaceable like that, that makes everything so much easier.
Well, I think that's also like the two sides of it, right? Like, yes, we have to be super patient and all that stuff, but like we can't always be, because he lives in Italy. I'm either on the West Coast or the East Coast, depending on where I'm at, or the season. So it's like we can't always be in contact or communication. So it's like, hey, checking in. How are you doing? How are things going? Oh, I'm good. I'm working on this. Okay, cool. Like, you have another, he's working on other books at the same time. So it's just like,
Mm,
all right, cool. I'll check in like 2 weeks or so, you know what I mean? Or just send
yeah.
me pages when you get them. So it's been, yeah, I've been very fortunate in that regard.
And is he doing all of the work, like coloring and inking and all that, or is he just doing the line work?
So he's doing pencils, inks, and some coloring. Like, he's helping out
Okay.
our colorist Antonio, but for the most part, he's strictly doing pencils and inks.
Okay.
And one of the cool things about it is, as I said, that we love, manga, we love comics. For our Kickstarter, we're going to be doing a thing called the Artist Edition, which is, I wanted Simone to basically make a manga version of our book. So one of our cover artists is Sean Murphy. And like I said, he was a huge inspiration with Tokyo Ghost. And I was able to get a cover from him. So his cover in black and white, and that's the only way you're going to be able to get this cover, will be on the artist edition. And then Simone's halftone manga treatment style will be available so fans can see his inks and pens in all its glory. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited for people to check that out.
Well, that's cool. So I know you kind of mentioned you've kind of been working on this for 3 years, but how long has this idea like been in your head? Like when, like how far back are we going with
I
this,
would
the
say
concept?
about 4 years. Like, it was something I was noodling on when I was at Disney, but never really gave it much serious thought. But it was
Mhm.
when I was unemployed and I was like, I need a job
Yeah.
or I need to do something constructive with my
Yeah.
life.
Right.
And so I was like, and this is also another reason why I knew I was going to marry my girlfriend, because I told her, I'm like, hey, I think I want to write comics. She's like, please, like, I encourage you. And I'm like, what? Like, I was expecting, like, get a real job. And she was like, I think it's the whole Quebecois thing, because she's French. And so her appreciation for art is a little more like, supportive and championing me. So I was like, cool, I'm going to figure it out. And so the whole idea was conceptualizing the story, writing the story with Simone. So that was about 4 years ago, give or take. And then the actual production of the book was 3 years.
Okay. So since we have the campaign upon us like any day now, well, I guess at the time I post this, it'll be after it'll already be launched. But either way, um, so how close to done are you that now is when you decided to launch the campaign?
So as of the time you probably release this, it'll be 100% complete. So one of the things that I quickly realized is I know everyone's attention and is very splintered, and kind of their, I don't want to say skepticism, but they definitely have like those skeptical hippo eyes when it comes to Kickstarter. Sometimes like,
Hmm.
what do you mean you're going to do this thing? Because people have been burned by other creators, and I don't want to name names or throw shade, but it's,
Of course.
I knew as a first time creator, if I was going to come swinging out the gate, just like our Kingslayer mech, I have to make sure this thing is as bulletproof as I could. Have a like, I think Joe Rogan says it's like a stack of undeniable truth. It's like, I want to make sure that this thing is close to done, if not done. I want to make sure that we have, select covers. Like, I don't want to inundate people with tiers that it feels like I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. Like, we're very intentional with what we're doing. And, I wanted to make sure that I had a few pull quotes from, famous people that I think could, support the campaign in a real way. And so we just wanted it to be as like almost bulletproof as we could, to make it feel like if someone wanted to back our campaign, that they could have the confidence as us being first time creatives. I mean, my team has done stuff before, but this is the first time I've written a book.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure people felt like, hey, I know I'm a first time creator and you're taking a chance on me, which I appreciate. So I want to make sure that I have all this stuff in my favor so you can at least feel confident giving me, your dollars, because I mean, dude, stuff's expensive, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's $5 for a 20-page comic. And I didn't feel comfortable asking that, because our book is 48 pages and I'm asking $10. I feel like 48 pages for $10 an easier ask than 5 for 20. I don't know if that is, but I think it's a better ask.
Yeah.
And
I feel like people might be like, "Ooh, $10," but like they don't think about the value ratio. You know what I mean? Like you pay $5 for nearly any book that you'll find at your comic shop these days. Like there's a handful of $4 ones still, but yeah, they see the $10 and they get scared, and it's like, well, there's still value here. Like there's still like in your case, you're getting basically like a double sized book. So why like double the price makes sense.
yeah,
So
and then especially if you bag and board it, then it becomes $5.99, and then if it's like a $6.99 book, then it's $7.99. Like, it's one of those
mhm,
things where we try to be very mindful in that regard, because just times are tough, and I don't want to take advantage of anything. Like, I want people to feel like they can get as much or as little as they desire. Like,
yeah.
we're offering only 5 covers. We don't want to play the variant game again. um, our cover artists are Sean Murphy and Rob Gilroy, Sia Oyam, and Kevin Keane. And all of those people mean something to us. Like, Sean Murphy and Rob Gilroy were mentors of mine that I had met through Disney. And
Mhm.
they were just, kind enough to make a deal with me so that they could, provide the covers. Sia is a friend. I worked on her campaign for Neo Wonderland. And then Kevin Keane, I thought he was just a sick artist because he did Gunslinger Spawn and King Spawn, and I thought he was like kind of into metal, which is funny because that's how I told you. And so I just kind of said, "Hey, man, I think your stuff is dope. Would you be interested in doing a project with me?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm on." And so we kind of just bonded over music. And so, again, to kind of circle back, we were just very specific on how we treated things, because again, we just want to be respectful. And if we're lucky enough to succeed in this campaign, we have plans to do more if we can. But also, that if backers choose to back this, they will get the premium version. Because let's say if a publisher decides to pick us up one day, right? This version I'm not allowing to be used in stores. So what I mean by that is, we wrote the 48-page book to be broken up into 2 issues. So it is issues technically, and how we
Okay.
wrote the pagination. So if this does go to stores someday down the road, it won't be this version. So again, I want people to feel like if they support us, they are getting something exclusive.
Right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like I don't know how often something like that gets like taken into consideration. I don't want to speak for anyone and say, "Oh, no one does that," but I don't know.
I mean, like I said, 3 years, I had a long time to think about everything.
That That's fair. That's very fair. So what, I know you said you have some plans. What kind of plans, like, do you have like long-term goals with this book, or at the very least, let me ask if you have like a end goal or like an end game, I guess, for the story. Like, is there an end? Does the book finish in your brain?
So that's interesting because I want to, like I said, I want to earn everybody's dollar, right? I don't want people just to throw money at me because they feel sad or something, but like, because I
Mhm.
really do want people to feel like they've got value out of this. So I had originally written it to be 12 issues, and then I quickly realized, because we did in fact have a publisher, but we decided we had creative differences and we needed to separate because it just wasn't working. Again, nothing, no negative things, just wasn't the right relationship.
Yep.
So when we decided to do it ourselves and put it on our own credit cards, we're like, okay, we have to be very specific on what it is we want because it's going to cost money and someone's got to foot the bill. And if I'm footing the bill just to make sure my team is paid, then I have to be very specific and intentional. So we condensed it from 12 to 6. And our goal is to do hopefully 3 Kickstarters. If we can do kind of, part 1, part 2, part 3, which is essentially those 6 issues in these premium sized,
Hmm.
or premium oversized versions. We would love to get to the trade. And then depending on how everything goes, the way I had left the first arc or the first trade, it does leave itself open to kind of new and different types of adventures because, again, we're trying to use that compacted, like old school style of storytelling where you feel like almost each issue is a standalone, but it leads to a bigger narrative. And so, that's kind of like the roadmap, if you were. Like, we don't have a blueprint. There's nothing set in stone,
Hmm.
but we definitely know where we're going. And if we can finally get to that 6th issue, then that's going to be a point where me and Simone will be like, okay, what do we want to do? What did people like with these previous issues, or what did they not like about it? And then we'll kind of reassess because where Marcus starts is very much this kind of Ultraman Rising, Big Hero 6, Power Rangers, but then by the time it gets to hopefully those future issues, it'll lean more darker, a little more horror, not like blood and guts or explicit content, but it'll lean a little bit darker, kind of like, how Star Wars gets dark in the middle and then gets bright. It'll definitely
Mm.
lean into more of like, it'll get worse before it gets better.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, you just mentioned like Power Rangers and Big Hero 6 and stuff. Who is this book for? Like, for fans of this, Marcus Walker would be to your liking.
People who love stories with meaning. And what I mean by that is, like, in the 90s growing up, a lot of those kind of classic animation movies, or even to this day, like Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse, you are entertained by this, spectacle, the cool colors, the kick-ass action, if it were. But at the end of the day, you have to be hooked into the characters. And so I feel like people who love, stories about family and kind of, loss of youth or loss of innocence, if you will, or Joseph Campbell-esque hero's journeys that maybe is kind of bent on its ear a little bit and done in a way that's maybe not the typical mech Gundam, uh, you know, um, kaiju way. And so truthfully, it's people who like things with heart. Like, that was my biggest thing, is because everyone's like, what is your goal? It's like, I just want it to feel like a family book that is done in a way that, people in their 40s could be like, that's sick, like, I appreciate it. Or kids could take this, or teens or whatever, and be like, oh, I feel like that's me. Or they could connect with Marcus or Caleb or Pio or Mitzi or Clayton or all those things. And so I think, for if I'm getting very like putting my marketing hat on, if you love mechs and kaijus, this is the niche book for you. If you love family adventure books, this is the thing for you. And if I had to be like Chris Yates, the writer, is like, if you just love big family oriented, like, kind of like pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, but still delivers on the action, then that's who it's for.
Okay. And would you say this book is more of like a PG-13 type of
Yes.
rating, or PG? Okay. Okay.
Definitely
Interesting.
PG-13, but I'd say it's more like PG-13 in the way of like Indiana Jones and Lord of the Rings. Like, it's still like it's still not graphic, but it's still intense and there's real stakes. Like you do see people die and there is like ramifications. Like we didn't want to, hold any, pull any punches,
Of course.
but we also don't drop any F bombs or it's not super explicit. It's very much like
Mhm.
it's nothing more than the Avengers or, any other superhero movie. It's
Okay.
just like we definitely wanted to have, we wanted to feel like there's some weight to it, but without, sacrificing the bright colors, if you were.
Right. No, that's awesome. I love that. All right. So like I said earlier, the campaign will have already started by the time we post this. But
Okay.
how long is it running? Do you know when the end date will be?
So it'll be running for 30 days, which I think is April 2nd or April 3rd. I think it's the first Thursday of April. So I think it's somewhere around there. But we'll probably be doing late pledges. So that'll take about a week for the fees to process and everything. And
Okay.
then we'll probably leave it open for a couple of weeks because I'm still probably going to be doing interviews even during the late pledges. And plus, as someone who's worked on campaigns for other people's campaigns, there is usually some people who kind of miss it on the tail end for whatever reason. So if I could, potentially give it to those folks, I would love to. So yeah, I would say the beginning of April.
Okay. So that's the important. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if you back it as soon as you come across the book, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you're a procrastinator like me, April's the
Yeah,
cutoff. Okay.
yeah.
So, all right. So, with this campaign, now we know it's 30 days, ends in April. When people pledge, what are they going to get? What kind of rewards do you have? And,
Yeah.
well, I was going to ask about stretch goals, but let's make this
No,
a
no, I
one part
can.
question first.
No, I know exactly where you're going. So again, like we said, we want to be very mindful of people's wallets. So like we're going to be offering a digital tier for $10, and then we're going to offer Simone's cover for 15, and then our variant covers are only going to be $20. So that even means Sean Murphy, Rob Gilroy, Kevin Keane, Sia, they're all $20. I tried my best to make sure that if someone wanted, these people I respect and wanted to obtain their art, that they could. And then also if people want to, like, because I know Sean has a huge fan base. So if people are like, I want the black and white artist edition and I want Sean's cover and nothing else. Okay, we're going to provide you we call it the Murphy bundle, and you'll get like a $5 discount or something. Or if you want everything, we'll give you like a $15 discount and you can get it at a cheaper price. And even if you do it within the 72-hour, we'll give you even a better price. So we're trying to be mindful of people's wallets, but also some of the higher tiers, and this is where it gets exciting, is that we will be offering actual pages from Simone's art. So Simone is going to be doing commissions, and then he'll be offering 2 pages from the issue. One we've already revealed, and 2, it is a non-spoiler page, and I'm interested to see if it sells or not because it is the climax of the first big book, and it's a page I love, and it's like bittersweet. I'm like, am I going to regret selling this? But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, Simone's like, dude, we got to sell it. Like this is the page, and so we're selling it as like an exclusive. Like we're not going to spoil it. So and it's a big ask, but at the same
Mhm.
time, if someone is really gung ho on supporting it and they really want to get on the ground floor, that is a way they can do it. And then lastly, our biggest stretch goal or our biggest tier is Simone is actually going to be selling his cover for the issue. And then some of
Okay.
our stretch goals is again, we're not at offering foils, medals, and t-shirts. We're not doing that this time around,
Mhm.
just because we really wanted it to be about the book and we want to make this the best version it can possibly be. So our stretch goals will go into making it an even more premium product. And so what I mean by that is our our first stretch goal will be like cover stock upgrades, maybe some extra back matter of like characters designs, concepts, maybe like a logo spotlight UV type thing. So it very much is just, hey, we're going to reward you, get and make this thing the best version we possibly can, because that's what I appreciated as a backer. I mean, I've backed I think
Mhm.
over 100 some odd Kickstarters at this point, and I love all the knickknacks and those things, but truthfully, if you could just make the thing and keep it that, then I think that's the best version. So, or at least that's how we're doing it. So
Right. That's an interesting take on that. I like you. I've backed. I don't know how many. I'll just say dozens. But I love the prints and the bookmarks and the pins or the coins or whatever. Like I've gotten all sorts of stuff. Like all that stuff is really cool, but at the same time, like 97% of it is sitting in a drawer in my closet right now because I
Yep.
don't know what to do with it otherwise. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to say, oh yeah, I'll put it all over, but like I don't know if there's enough wall space in the world for me to have like a house that is affordable and actually put everything up on the walls or put it out for display in some capacity. Like so that
Yeah.
is a really interesting interesting take, and I like that you're putting the focus on the book because I mean t-shirts are cool too, and like I've gotten a couple of those and I'll wear them whatever, but again, like if you're focusing on the book, I also feel like I don't know anything about running a Kickstarter campaign, but I feel like you might also end up like stretching yourself a little thinner when you're
Absolutely.
diving into these other, with t-shirts and like the coins or whatever. Like a print, it's probably not that hard, but just something where you'd have to contact a completely different vendor or supplier or whatever.
And then also you have to think about weight and tariff and shipping and all those things because also Simone is from Italy. So it's like,
Mhm.
could I ask his fans, his family, his friends to pay money to ship it from either, California or Florida or wherever we're shipping it from? Like, is that fair to them? And I was just like, I don't
Right.
think so. So we're definitely trying to be, because the honest thing is if fans or backers decide, hey, we want that. Okay, cool. We'll try to do it the next time around. Like we'll do that next. But again, this is our first time out, and we kind of just want to take a temperature check first, and be like, hey, does this
Absolutely.
resonate with anybody first before we just decide to do all of this stuff? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but it's like I kind of roll my eyes when someone's like, we're launching a brand new universe and like we haven't released a single thing yet. And I'm like, yee, like, I hope it works, guys. Like, really, like, I know you probably put your heart and soul and God bless you, but like, that's a huge ask. And for us, I was just like, hey, here's our comic. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want more, we'll do more. But let's earn it first.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do think that the whole like we're starting a universe thing, as much as I'm willing to get behind that because I just love the medium, I do understand why it's a big ask. And on their end, it feels very ambitious. It's like, well, like, what do we? I feel like you need some like pre-existing stock in that regard. Some credit, some rapport with a fan base. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, I don't know anything about running that kind of stuff. I'm over on this side of all of it. So,
Yeah. I think it's what is it, the phrase? Like you put the cart before the horse almost. It's like we
mhm.
just want to start slow. And then if we ramp up and we should be so lucky, cool. And until that point comes, we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. No, I do really applaud your approach because I don't know. I feel like some people will get caught up in it and be like, "Oh, well, everyone else is doing like this, that, and that, so like I should be doing this twice over to try to stand out or whatever." When
Yeah.
really most people are just going to get the book, or
Well, and
maybe even
also
they'll
I
just get the digital version.
of course. And then to add on to that, it's like what's your intent then? Like if you want to make a comic book, shouldn't everything be focused on the comic book? Like are you just trying to, farm it out to hopefully get it, flip it for a TV or film? Like I've been in those rooms. You know how hard it is to get that stuff done? Like even the
Mhm.
big shots like Kirkman and Tynan and all them, like they're still trying to get their stuff made. Like, yes, they've gotten successful, but like they still have hurdles to overcome. And it's like, I don't want to, don't get me wrong. That'd be amazing, but that's not my goal. My goal is to try and make the best comic book. And that's, I think as long as we kind of keep that our North Star, if it were,
Yeah,
like, hopefully the fans can see that or the backers can see that rather.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree.
Dope.
So that's pretty much all I had for today.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that I did not touch on that you want to bring up real quick?
Yeah. Okay. So are you wearing a Memphis Mayfire shirt? Is that correct?
I am. I kind of
I
I wasn't. I feel like I could barely see it, but that's pretty incredible. You're able to make that out.
Oh, because I saw the M's, and so I've seen them before, so I know them. That's why, like, or not, I
Yeah.
don't know them, but I've seen them perform, and so I
Mhm.
I was wearing my Ice Nine Kills because those are my guys. So let's talk a little metal before we wrap up. What's your favorite band?
Ooh. All right. Right now, I'll
Yes.
say that I I am very high on this band called Downswing. They're kind of
Okay.
newer. They just released their first album in October. Um,
Okay.
but I don't know, they like in my mind, the album that they released, like, I don't want to call it perfect, but like it's a zero skip album for me. Like
Dope.
I adore it. I have been listening to it. So like it's February now and I'm still listening to it like on repeat sometimes.
Okay.
Um but oof, if we're talking like not right this minute, the last few years, my favorite band has probably been Make Them Suffer.
Nice.
They're
Aussies.
yeah, dude. Honestly, I don't know what they're doing over there, but the Australians are killing it in the metalcore like
Oh,
genre in the game. Like it's. I was looking at. I was talking to one of my buddies about it not that long ago, and I was looking at my like stats for Spotify, and like my top 10. I think it was either like five of them or seven of them were all Australian bands,
that
and
checks
like
out.
I don't like I don't even say that to be like, oh, like I don't even listen to American stuff. Like I don't mean it to be a douche. It's just that's the way it works out because they're just
Yeah.
putting out really cool stuff. Like
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge Parkway guy. I know Parkway can be divisive, but I've
I
seen them multiple times and I love them. I don't care what people say.
yeah, no, I listen, I like I'm not the biggest fan of their newer stuff, but in my mind, they are Teflon. Like
Yeah.
they between I'm not the biggest fan of their original album, which is like sacrilege in some
Yep.
spaces, but Deep Blue and Horizons and Atlas are an insane trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, no, I love them. Parkway Drive is like top 5 for me all time for sure.
Okay, then who's the top four? Who's out? Who else is on the list?
So I don't know what kind of like metalcore whatever fan you are. Like
Yeah, yeah.
in some ways I just like I mean it
Hey,
in the
music's
more
music.
I mean it in the more umbrella sense and not in the like subreddit way where everyone's like, oh, it doesn't have this and that. Like, so for me, like all time favorite is A Day to Remember.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, Parkway Drive is in there. I this one's a little bit more divisive, but for me, I Prevail is like one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
Um, uh, Another one that I'm really huge on is Beartooth.
Dude, we
Um,
have like the same list.
like, oh, dude, I love Beartooth so much. I've seen them like 10 times, and I get like this weird sense of like overwhelming emotion that no other band has the effect on me. Like I don't get it, but like whenever I see them, I'm just like, this is happiness. Like,
I will give you a quick story, and this will tell you how much of a fan I am of Beartooth and why we could be great friends. So when I was going to propose to my girlfriend, I actually played "I Was Alive" because that was kind of our favorite song. So "I Was Alive" was playing while I proposed to her. So and that was
that's
technically our first song because one of the biggest craziness was because she's from Montreal, I was from California, Long Beach. How the hell are we going to do long distance? And then it was just like, you know what, screw it. Like this is someone I feel is worth going on a limb for, and luckily I was fortunate enough that it worked out in our favor. But it was
yeah,
it was one of those
yeah.
things where we've seen Beartooth together now a handful of times, and so I didn't mean to jump in, but I just wanted to
Oh
get
yeah,
share that note because when you meet like a like-minded fan, you're just like, oh, thank God. Like, dude, I don't do the Reddit. I don't do like, oh, it's not that, like, is it good? Do you enjoy it?
right,
Then that's all that matters.
right. Yeah, no, that absolutely. I don't think I gave you 5, but I'm blanking on what my 5th one is. I normally have this down. Oh, I think I usually say that it's the Amity Affliction is in
Nice.
my 5. That's my uh,
Another Aussie group.
yep. Yep. Yeah, dude. I don't like I said, I don't know what the Aussies are doing over there, but they're killing it, man. There's so many
Yeah.
good bands. You got like Polaris is really good. Alpha Wolf is incredible.
Yep.
Um North Lane is good. There's so like I could just there's a whole list, man. Like it's insane.
Sick. Right on, dude. Love
What
it.
what about your five, if you can rattle it off?
Ooh. So I think it's my top one is probably a tie. I know that's a cheat, but it's the honest answer. It's Ice Nine Kills or The Ghost Inside. Um,
Ooh, okay.
yeah, and then if I had to pick three more, Beartooth, A Day to Remember. I want to say Parkway, but I'm going to be honest. And Lorna Shore has definitely jumped up in my rankings because their newest album, I Feel the Ever Rack Festering Within Me, that album completely just took over my entire personality.
That's
Like,
fair, yeah.
I was never a huge deathcore person. I mean, I
Same.
liked Whitechapel a little bit, because they sing in some songs,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it is about Will Ramos and Austin's drumming, but I was just like, "Yep, this is it. I'm all about this record." And my wife, she hates it because it's just it. She can hang with like the heavy stuff, but that's a whole nother level of heavy. And she's
Yep.
like, "Can they sing?" And I'm like, "They are singing." She's like, "You know what I mean, smartass." I'm like, okay. I'm like, fair. I mean, granted, she listens more to like, Bad Omens and Beartooth and A Day to Remember, but
Mhm.
I'm just like, yeah, this is my personality from now on. So get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah, I get the Bad Omens thing too. I mean, obviously you pointed out that I was wearing the shirt in the last interview that I did,
Yeah.
but Bad Omens is awesome. I'm actually supposed to see them next month, which I'm pretty pumped for because it's been a while since I've seen them.
On the
But
Beartooth tour?
yep, yep, yeah.
Yep.
Once I saw that they were both on the same tour, I was like, well, I can't miss this.
I'm going to the
Like,
Montreal show.
nice, hell yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well, dude, this has been fantastic. Thank you for giving me, some of your time and,
Yeah,
sharing your space with me. I appreciate it.
yeah. No, I appreciate you reaching out. Full disclosure, you were the one that reached out first. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's awesome. Like, it doesn't happen like super often. It's been a while since I've like tried to do the whole interview thing. But when someone, I don't know, thinks to reach out to me of all people, like I joke that I'm just some dummy with an internet connection. I just talk to people, but
But
I
this
don't
is
know,
how
it's
you
cool.
start. This is how the fire
Mhm.
builds. You know what I mean? This is how it gets going, And like if I could be so lucky to be a part of your journey as of you a part of mine, like again, the next time this happens where I'm able to promote, Marcus 2 or another book, hopefully you'll have a much bigger channel and things will go however you want it to go. And, we
Right.
can keep doing this for however long it needs to be. And so I'm just again, thank you. I'm very grateful for you giving me the time, my friend.
Yeah, likewise, and I appreciate it. So where can we find you before we close this out? Where can
Yep.
anyone watching this that's made it this far, where can they find you, whether on Instagram, I don't know what other socials you're
Yeah.
on, threads,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. So most of my socials are usually the same. I was quite lucky. I was able to secure mine, and it's CYG47 on most platforms. And then my website is Crush Your Goals. And then if people want to check out my partner Simone Ragazzoni, that's his handle for pretty much everything. And then if anybody wants to check out our Kickstarter, they can check out Marcus Walker Kingslayer Protocol, and everything will be there.
perfect. Awesome. Well, I know
Awesome.
you've been thanking me, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I had an awesome conversation.
Absolutely.
So there you have it. I had a blast talking with Chris, and honestly, I really could tell how passionate he was about this project, and I'm so excited for it. But at the time of this filming, the campaign is already fully funded. It hit its goal in one day. There's over 90 backers already, and we're on our way to some potential stretch goals. So there's a little over 3.5 weeks left in the campaign. It ends right at the start of April. Now, there will be late pledges being offered and things of that nature. Personally, I don't risk that thing. I make sure to back before the campaign ends, but you do you. But with that being said, the start of April is when the campaign ends. So do with that information what you will. So, like we talked about, you've got a digital tier for 10 bucks. You've got the A cover physical tier for 15 bucks, and then there's a bunch of variants for 20 bucks a piece. That's a great deal if you ask me. If you're looking for a very comics focused project, this is the one because, like Chris said when we talked, he's not worried about all the extra stuff. There's not going to be any t shirt add ons. He's not doing prints. He's not doing foils or anything of that nature. He just wants to make the product better. So that's going to do it for me today. Make sure you get those pledges in and back Marcus Walker at Kingslayer Protocol today.